participate in the elections. Today on the program, IMF asks CBN to extend Naira deadline as bank workers threaten to shut down operations over attacks. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Tunde Abaton. If you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. In a season of politics, nothing is impossible regarding alignment and realignment by political parties. In this regard, there have been mounting speculations over possible merger between the presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, and the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Rabiu Musa Kokonso. A chieftain of NNPP, Buba Galadima, has let it be known that Atiku keeps sending prominent people to Kokonso to quit the race and support him. Galadima also alleged that Atiku is using religious leaders like former heads of state and traditional rulers to persuade them to talk to Kokonso to step down for him. The days ahead will be very interesting for this possibility. Julie, this could be a masterstroke if this happens. But will Rabiu Musa Kokonso, 15 days to the election, perhaps it started with the Labour Party, that major talk did not yield anything. Now we're looking at a single candidate for the whole North. The possibility, if NNPP decide to go on a merger with the People's Democratic Party, how possible is this?
Well, they've not shown any sign that that will happen. And if Buba Galadima can come out and speak in this manner and expose what happened in the dark, he shows that that's not a route that they want to pass through. That's not a road that they want to pass through. The Kwankwaso wants to be seen as the most dominant politician in northern Nigeria. And it will not serve his cause to go and step down for Atiku. He wants to be the biggest fish in the pond. He's been working hard at this for some time. And you know that even during the APC presidential primaries of 2014, he defeated Atiku.
Yes, I remember.
In fact,
that was shocking.
The delegates from Adama voted for him.
Remember?
He defeated Atiku hands down at the Slim Balogun Stadium. So he fancies his chances of defeating him even now. When you listen to Galadima talk, he doesn't see his own party as inferior to, or his own candidate as inferior to any other candidate. And when you talk about Atiku, they give the impression that any day he can defeat Atiku. So he's not prepared to step down for him. And when Atiku came out the other day to say that they were in talks with Kwankwaso as well as Obi's party, you can see the anger with which the two sets of party men discountenance that statement. In fact, in very angry manner. That what is he talking about? We have no plan. In fact, Obi described himself as the front runner. Therefore, it's Atiku that should step down for him. That's what Obi said. Yeah, this is the same way Kwankwaso is thinking. In the north now, especially in the northwest, which will be the battleground in this election, Kwankwaso does not see himself as inferior to anyone. He may be bigging himself more than necessary. But as Delegiwa said, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. So if you go into a race believing before even that race began that there's nothing I can do to win this. There's no way you win. You must first be determined in your heart that you want to win, that you can win. That is what will galvanize you, propel you to victory. But you don't go into a race already convinced that they are going to defeat me. Nobody who wants to win goes around with that mindset. So that is the way the Kwankwaso people are thinking. And as far as they are concerned, Atiku is wasting his time. Galadima said he spent billions of naira to persuade religious leaders and traditional rulers to convince him that they came net down for Kwankwaso, that he should please step down for Atiku. Kwankwaso is a politician who believes in the winner takes all. Look at the way he treated Shekarau, for example. To even concede positions. He
lured him.
Positions to Shekarau's men. You know he refused to do it.
Yes, it became very difficult, extremely
difficult. He didn't do it, and those guys lost the opportunity to even contest elections because they left the APC, joined him. He kept delaying. They will call for meeting. The meeting will not happen until it was too late for them to be candidates in the election. He didn't yield ground. So that is the person who will now say, okay, I'm no longer interested in the presidency. You, Atiku, come and take. No, I don't think Kwankwaso is ready for that.
Politicians, they are like incurable optimists. Like somebody like Kwankwaso, all true. I thought that it was going to gather momentum beyond Kano, Jigawa, and Kaduna. But let's look at his presence down south. I don't know his momentum, what's NNPP, how they are doing in the south-south, southeast, and southwest. Apart from that is area of dominance.
Well, when we look at the fact that the Northwest, for anybody to emerge president in Nigeria, you have to have probably majority of votes in the Northwest and Southwest. Let's say block vote. Anybody that can get block votes from these two regions, because the two of them had 42 million registered voters as at INEC as at today. So for anybody now, and you look at the fact that Buhari contested 3 times, his influence did not go beyond the core north, that is the 19 states of the north. Until he gets one of the regions in the south, that is southwest, he could not win. So, and the kind of influence and the kind of followership that Buhari had, Kwankwaso cannot be compared with him in any way. I can't see him going beyond the northwest of today. As per southeast, well, it's only 2 candidates or 3 candidates that can make influence. That is Obi, Tinubu, and Atiku. So I don't know how the kind of magic, like we said, politicians are optimists. Maybe he wanted to use the votes in Kano, or something has assured him that out of the 24 million votes in Kano, he can get 18. Even when you can get 18 million, you still need a spread. To become the president of Nigeria, you have to have 25% in 2/3 of the states of the country, which is 24 states. So I don't know how Kwankwaso can translate the followership he has. Yes, with the movement, he has it in the Northwest to other regions of Nigeria. And from the kind of campaign that we have witnessed so far, I cannot see him gathering much influence, especially when you don't have some other people contesting for other offices that will have popularized the party, like the House of Rep. I don't know how many House of Rep they have in Lagos. They have in most of the Southwest State and Southeast, and Senate. Because the totality of this will promote your candidature. So me, as far as I'm concerned today, I don't know why they are being, I think there's a rivalry between Kwankwaso and Atiku. Yes, when you look at it, Kwankwaso has been governor for 8 years. He has been to the Senate. Atiku was only vice president. In terms of masses following, yes, it may be stronger than Atiku in the Northwest. But I don't think whether he will be able to gather enough votes, even in the Northwest, to have 25%. Talk less of taking either of the Southeast, Southwest, and South-South.
Will it be right if I describe this former governor and Minister of Defense as a spoiler? Because if you look at the People's Democratic Party now, in 2019, this was part of PDP. in that same 2019, Labour Party was part of PDP. So the PDP is like fragmented now. Will it in any way, do you see that, the stronghold that former President, Vice President Atiku Abubakar is going to pick some votes, that he is going to whittle down his influence in a state like Kano?
But you cannot say the Northwest, where we expect Kwankwaso to do well. You can't say that is Atiku's stronghold. It's never done well in the Northwest because Buhari has always dominated that part of our country. And I know that he's been telling people, he's been saying that since Buhari is not in the race, the 12 million votes that Buhari usually claims, that is going to claim those votes. But when you look at
12 million,
the usual 12 million votes, the only time Buhari couldn't get it was when Yaradua was in the race. So it was Yaradua that denied him, because Yaradua defeated him in the race. So Atiku had never been strong in the Northwest. That is a fact. So, in my view, Kwankwaso is not a spoiler. It's just someone wishing to be the strongest politician. And in fairness to him, he's worked hard at building the Kwankwaso family, the Kwankwasia. He's worked really hard to get them to the level that they are now. Unfortunately for him too, having treated Shekarau the way he treated him, it is guaranteed that Shekarau supporters will work against.
Get back their pound of flesh.
They will work against him. They will support a different person. So, and there are many as a Kano man, he will have been banking on the support of majority of Kano people. But because of the no love loss relationship between him and Shekarau, some of those votes that he normally would have wished would come to him will not go to him. Because Shekarau's people feel betrayed, they felt badly treated, so they would rather work for rival politicians than support Kwankwaso. So that's what makes the Kano race quite interesting. Because there are people now, Kwankwaso will be battling against the influence of Ganduje, whose candidate is Asiwaju Tinubu. Shekarau, who will be working for Atiku and trying his best to ensure that they teach Kwankwaso a lesson. So at the end of the day, even in Kano, where we will expect Kwankwaso to trounce everybody, it's going to be quite tough for him because of the array of opponents that have already massed against him. So, but in neighboring states like Katsina, Jigawa, to an extent, he will get some impressive votes. I'm not saying he's going to win in those places, at least
some seats.
Yes, some of his people, yes, they are going to do well. Even in Kano, they are going to win some seats, whether House of Reps or even assemblies. They've worked really hard. But this is a particularly interesting race, but I do not see Kwankwaso stepping down for Atiku. He wants to be his own man. He wants to run. Stepping down for people is not what will take you to the top. You must fancy your own chances. And I'm sure this is how he's thinking. It's about time that he could say, look, I've come of age. Yeah. And this is a man that he has defeated before.
Ola is calling us from Abuja. Thank you for staying with us, Ola.
Hello, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you very much. With regards to what you are discussing now, I believe very strongly that Kwankwaso is just trying as much as possible to place himself on a pedestal he does not belong. Mr. Babajide mentioned something that is very important. The only time President Buhari lost an election, I mean, as a candidate from the north, was when Yahya, contested with him. So what it means is that, look, Atiku, being the dominant and presidential candidate on this ballot now, I'm almost 100% sure that he's going to garner majority of the votes from the north. Don't let anybody beat about the bush on that. So if Kwankwaso is trying to kind of give the impression that he doesn't want to step down for Atiku, well, let him be on his standpoint. But the fact is that the north, as far as I'm concerned, will vote for Atiku.
Thank you, Ola. Thank you for your contribution.
He thinks that because the Atiku is from the north, then it's automatic that they will vote for their son. Why didn't they vote for Tofa? When Abiola defeated him, even in his polling unit at Gandu Albasa, close to where I used to live, Abiola defeated him. The polling unit near his house, he defeated him. Why didn't they say, oh, he's a northerner, he's the one in the race? And that time we had two dominant parties, NRC and SDP. This thing doesn't work like that. If you read what this old NRC man, ANPP man, the old man, Tanko Yaka said, what he said. He said Atiku doesn't have the kind of foot soldiers in Kano, for example, that can deliver victory to him. Politics is local. The people are the grassroots. There are people who reach out to them. There are people that they are familiar with. Everywhere those people are going, you can be sure they go with those people. So he's saying that he doesn't have such strong grassroots politicians as foot soldiers to help him deliver the votes from places like Kano. And I've sat down. There are some of these politicians that we know them. We know some of the strong people who work for them. With Atiku in Kano, for example, I don't know such people. So I think the old man was right. And the people of the north do not simply vote on account of, oh, this person is a northerner, therefore we must vote for him. No. They don't vote like that all the time. That's why the example of Abiola is there. They rejected their own son. Tofa from Kano, they rejected him and voted for somebody from Ogun State. So the kind of analogy that he gave that sure that is going to, if you understand Nigerian politics very well, it doesn't follow. Didn't the Yoruba people reject Obasanjo here? They rejected him. They didn't say, oh, he's a former president, he's our son. The North embraced him. The Southeast embraced him. But his own people here, they rejected him. Here in the Southwest, he was well defeated here. Obasanjo.
All right. Apart from public criticism from helpless citizens, the Naira redesign crisis in Nigeria is also attracting foreign scrutiny. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has asked the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to extend the deadline for phasing out old Naira notes. The IMF stated that the short time frame for the currency swap is causing hardship in the country. Meanwhile, in the face of mounting protests over the Naira crisis, commercial bank workers are threatening to shut down operations for fear of attacks.
Well, already in Ogun State, I don't know if in 24 hours they will open their branches, because there were two kinds of protests in Abeokuta yesterday, the state capital. So the banks have to, the committee of banks have to come up and shut down their premises because of the irate mob. You see, this morning I traveled within Lagos of 20 kilometers. Everywhere I pass through, come and see queue in front of banks, from Iju down to Maryland. And that's more than 20 kilometers. Everywhere, come and see queue as early as 7 o'clock in the morning. So I don't really know the kind of statistics or the kind of proposal that made the government want to implement this program at this particular point in time. It would have been reasonable if it had been done probably 2015, when the war against corruption was much, or probably maybe before 2019. But for a government, we have said this several times, it is unthinkable and you cannot rationalize it by any reasoning whatsoever. So for people, government to know that those people, yes, the president too did admit that the policy was meant against the rich who stored up money. But today, I'm telling you, those who are suffering are the downtrodden, not even the masses, the downtrodden, those people who cannot say, you can tell a man selling beans for 450 naira per dirika. You cannot give him, you cannot transfer money to him, or somebody selling pepper, or somebody selling onion, or even the transporters. 90% of transportation in Lagos and most metropolis in Nigeria is still done by public transportation. Are you going to transfer money when you give it to them? My son, last week in UI, the guy stopped using cash 2 weeks ago. He said, whenever he goes to it, he will go to the canteen, he will transfer. Then one day last week, he tried to transfer money after eating. 3 times, the thing bounced back, and he had no cash. So the woman had to tell him that, well, don't worry, come back. You see, and you keep on sending money, and they cannot get it. So I don't know actually what informed this thing, but the best thing the president can do for Nigeria, because in 3 months' time, the president will leave office. And in 3 months' time, both him and the governor of Central Bank, they are going to be remembered for something. So they have to do something that is necessary to save the masses. This thing is not against the rich. In practical terms, it is against the downtrodden. It is not against the rich, because the rich, if you are a banker and your customer, your account officer, you call your account officer, I need 5 million naira, and you have 20 million in that account. You will not wait for 30 minutes. He will bring the money home for you, because no bank manager wants to lose any worthy client.
A big client.
Are you telling me the thing is for the rich? No, it is against the poor and the downtrodden. And the earlier, the better the government do something about it. So the IMF is justified. We don't even need the IMF to come and tell us that this policy cannot work, because it has never worked.
Okay, there seems to be a consensus in that line. But a lot of people are still saying that, look, we should allow the central bank to finish the final phase of this implementation. We should give them time, that they should not be bullied. They should be allowed to do their work. And we've been hearing opinions that, look, if at the end of the day that this thing will turn out as we all expect.
How will it turn out? People who just speak English just to mislead us. Sometimes I wonder whether those people actually think that they are accountable to God. How will this thing turn out? In 2016, India did the sort of thing that we did.
With the population.
There is a candidate who is using the example of India, that they change money. But he refused to tell the whole story. How India's poor suffered tremendously as a result of the exercise. What were they trying to do? They withdrew their 2 biggest denominations. The currency that they withdrew, the quantum of currency notes they withdrew amounted to $230 billion. And they gave 50 days. What they wanted was to deal with people with black money, who have so much money, who have stashed money in their homes, and who are not paying taxes. Unfortunately for them, and of course, they also they were led to take that step because they heard that a lot of those notes had been counterfeited. But the truth is, at the end of the day, they found very little number of counterfeited notes. So the exercise, when you look at the exercise, the pain and all that, from the angle of counterfeiting, it was not worth it. Not many of those currencies, when they took them back to the bank, actually were counterfeited. Secondly, the Indians rich were really not stashing money. They had used their money to buy real estate. Some had converted their cash to gold. The ones who had money And I'm sure that even here in Nigeria, our rich people will have done it. Yes. The one who had money gave the money to intermediaries, poor people, because they knew that they would be under scrutiny. Yeah. They gave the cash to poor people who then took the money to the banks. They negotiated with them. Their cash, they gave out their cash at lower rate. It's like I had 10, let me say I had 10 million.
Okay.
So I will then say, okay, take this for 8 million. Go and keep for me. You have made 2 million of me. Yeah. But my own job is to help you lodge the money. So at the end of the day, the exercise was a waste. They didn't get the quantum of black money that they thought they were going to get, because these guys had quickly bought real estate, some converted their cash to gold. The bulk of the money was not counterfeit after all. So, whereas the poor people who were in the informal sector, who were into small-scale enterprises, some of them into agriculture, they lost money. Businesses collapsed. So people telling stories, trying to talk about India, oh, India did it. Between 2016 and 2018, Indian economy suffered as a result of this policy, because the poor, the vulnerable in our society, how many of them are doing digital payments? It's still cash that these people largely deal with. It's the same thing in India. They were the ones who suffered. It's the poor who suffered the most. The rich at the end of the day will find a way to get around these things, just the same way the Indians got around it. The rich are the same everywhere. Yes, but it is the poor. And you ask yourself, is this targeted at the poor? Those who came out with the idea and convinced the president, they weren't. They must have told him that, look, these rich people, we are going to deal with them. These politicians, we are going to stop them. There will be no vote buying. Nobody will be able to stop vote buying. God will spare our lives. We will see it. Because these guys, they found a way.
Let's just take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more.
My sister, do you know that winning an election is not only about getting the majority vote? For that your candidate to be declared winner of the election, he or she must secure 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all states plus the FCT to be president, and 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all local governments of a state to be governor. This is constitutional, and every presidential candidate has had to pass this threshold. Even governors have had to make this mark to get elected in their states. We live in one country with different languages, religions, and ethnic groups. This is why it is not enough to have only northern votes, or southern votes, or eastern votes, or western votes. The only way to get elected as president or governor is by gaining enough support across the country and states. Let us make sure that we know now, so that we don't cause an issue tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO.
Hello Nigerians, my name is Kashim Shetima. I'm the APC Vice Presidential candidate. Here we have 1,776 orphans, vulnerable orphan girls from Northern Borno, all of them victims of Boko Haram. Our house and educated, getting the best that the nation has on offer. Look at this edifice. It's about one of the best schools in the nation. And this has been replicated along the length and breadth of Borno, and further sustained by Governor Babagana Umara Sulum. Let us into office. We promise you such edifices will be replicated across the length and breadth of this nation. Vote wisely, vote Bola Tinubu for the presidency of Nigeria come February 25th.
Igbo Leno, oge anyị ji atụ akwụkwọ erugo, gba mbọ tụnyere Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, eze ọgbara dike ọgụ nke ala oko, ka o wee bụrụ anyị president, ma onye nke ịbụọ ya, Senator Kazim Shettima wee bụrụ vice president n'ala anyị bụ Nigeria. O nyere ụmụ Igbo ikikere ka ha wee nwee ọganiru n'ala Lagos. O mekwara ka ala Lagos bụrụ ebe nabatara ụmụ Igbo. Nke a mere Tinubu eyi ka nwanne. O nyere ya ike ime Lagos steeti ihe ọpụta. Ọ gaghị anyịkwa ya ike ime Nigeria ka ọ bụrụ obodo eji ama atụ. Ka ụmụ Igbo jikọọ aka tinye Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu nke APC ka o wee bụrụ anyị onye isi nke ala Nigeria. Ozi a site n'aka Ọzọ Obinna Francis Oguegbu, Ojele Igbo Ijele nke Igbo Arise for Tinubu Shettima.
The very high workforce mobility of health workers is global. Doctors are moving and nurses are moving everywhere. I've had occasion to speak with other ministers. Even Ghana, they are losing doctors going to, so there's a high mobility in the health sector workforce. And in Europe, where the population is, and America, where the population is aging more, a lot of nurses are not even working in the hospital, they're working in the homes for the elderly. So they require lots of people. And here, what we are doing about it, first of all, is to do everything we can to improve the conditions of service. We have improved the hazard allowance. We're looking at how to improve remunerations.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
A day to remember in the history of our dear country, Nigeria. 9 wise men from the north who are governors came together on June 8th, 2022 to stand for equity and fairness in the interest of our nation, Nigeria. They buried personal interest for the unity of our country. They supported the call that power must shift to the south in 2023. They chose a Nigeria agenda. We salute our brothers and sisters in the northern part of this country who, in spite of their vote advantage, continue to propagate the unity of Nigeria by promoting rotational presidency between the north and southern part of the country. Let voters in the north follow the move by these leaders. Vote for power shift to the south. It's the turn of the south to produce the president in 2023. Let's vote Bola Tinubu for president for a renewed hope of better Nigeria. Vote Kashim Shettima as vice president. Vote APC. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you for staying with us. Tunde Abato, when we look at this trend, and today, when you go out there, in Lagos is a commercial hub, and a lot of banks are closing down. I went to the Polaris Bank somewhere around Jew Road, and I just saw they were doing the normal documentation. Nobody's paying cash to anybody. As in a banking hall, I was like, is this a banking hall? So everybody is just...
Well, you will discover that you can take a look from that area down to probably Ikeja, except where you have a heavy industrial presence, where workers earn salaries, and where companies deposit money there. Along that stretch that you mentioned, there's no way, if there's no currency, that those banks can be busy. Because most of the businesses along that axis, they are schools. Schools and SMEs that are major. So there's no way they can be active if the people, the downtrodden, those people are low, have no money to put in the bank. If their business is not moving, it's like going to Ladipo market now. Somebody supplied me and I told me that I wanted the refund. Told me that it is not this time. Because nobody will go and buy electrical products now. The only thing they are looking for now is how to eat, how to part with money. Even people, you can't believe this morning, I have to travel about 2 kilometers before I can get POS. And for 5,000 Naira, you will pay 500 Naira. For 10,000,
that's not a traveling industry.
Naira. It's unfortunate that it is like this, but you expect such a situation in this kind of scenario we find ourselves. So banks have every reason in Lagos to want to close up. Why? Because when the mob of Lagos, when the thing starts, it will not recognize bank. It will not recognize big men. They will be overwhelmed. And that was what they did in Ogun State. They don't want to be overwhelmed because there are a lot of young people Like I said, like in Abeokuta now, there are about 5 institutions of higher learning. Most of them are not from that place. Their parents send money to them from more parts of Nigeria. If they cannot get money in bank, what do you expect those students to do? Because you also have to look at the youth population. So when you go to most of the banks, 80% of them are youths who want to collect one money or the other. So in Lagos, if the banks shut down tomorrow, I won't be surprised, because they have to be proactive against what is likely to happen. But I don't know why those people in government are not getting the correct information as per how Nigerians are suffering. Because if they are getting correct information, I know if the president is getting the correct information, he will do the needful. Because the central bank cannot take instruction from anybody. Even the National Assembly will say that National Assembly cannot legislate because they are on their own. So I don't know why it is becoming difficult for the presidency to do what is needful. This thing has failed.
Some people went as far as saying that the Supreme Court, whatever their verdict is, that they are on their own, that the central bank is autonomous. And I was looking at what kind of talk is that? That's the Supreme Court in Nigeria? I was like, are you for real?
Everybody is an analyst.
Honestly, emergency analysts, everybody,
including
journalists,
people without the education and the knowledge to speak on the issues that they want to talk about. The Supreme Court is not just the final court of record. It is also a court of policy. And when they call the Supreme Court the court of policy, it means that its pronouncement
honestly becomes law.
It may not be codified
in existing law,
but its pronouncement becomes law. That's why it is called the court of policy. So there is something that the Supreme Court, and when we are in a dicey situation that we need to be advised on what do you do, you go to the Supreme Court. Obasanjo did that when during the Fayose impeachment drama. Obasanjo reached out to the CJN at that time, Belgore, said, explain to us what is the situation. And Belgore said that the House of Assembly in Ekiti has not got the power to suspend a chief judge. You've not got the power. And that's why the impeachment of Fayose remains a waste of time. When Fayose tried to come back, some people decided to go to court. But the Supreme Court ruled that he was not impeached.
James is calling us from Ikorodu in Lagos State here. Thank you for joining us, James.
Good afternoon, Babajide, Ayo, and the other man in the room.
Tunde Abaton.
Okay, thank you for the correction. Concerning Kwankwaso, just as Babajide said, I don't see him stepping down because Atiku has been his political rival. And he knows now that President Buhari is not going to be on the ballot. He wants to make himself a formidable politician in the north. And stepping down at this case, I even had him on a channel television. He said he's not going to step down for anyone. That if he cannot take it, then let it be Asiwaju Tinubu. Had it on channel politics. So if he's going to work or step down for anyone, it's going to be Asiwaju, and I don't see him stepping down for Atiku. That is why you see that Buba Galadima.
Thank you, James.
He said that he will send.
Thank you, James. Thank you for your contribution. So, as you were saying,
so the Supreme Court is a court of policy. Obasanjo reached out to the CJN for advice, and he said, "No, there was no impeachment because you've not got the power to suspend or remove a CJ." Because they felt that the CJ at that time was loyal to Fauci and they wanted to bring their own CJ.
I'm sure that statement was erroneously quoted to the legal advisor of the Central Bank of Nigeria yesterday, and they were sharing it all around that, no, the Supreme Court just has just said it on that, no, that they are not bounded by anything because they're not... I was like, I know you didn't see it. I would have called their attention.
I saw it. People people have been sending it to me, so I see these things. I've been around for some time to know how the law works in our country. You know, we're analyzing these things.
Yes, it is final.
We're analyzing these things.
Somebody
said, Ajide, we are looking forward to your analysis after the Supreme Court order. Another one said, is he a financial expert? I said, oh, see an illiterate on my wall. So he's only a financial expert who can talk about financial matters. The best oil minister Nigeria has ever had is Tam David West. And he didn't read petroleum engineering. He's a virologist. What he was encouraged by the desire to succeed. And today is the best that we've had. You don't have to be a financial analyst to know and I can see how a draconian policy is making our people to suffer. I'm interested in studying how it was done in other countries. And we have said that even in the UK, they gave 2 years. No one has come out to say, no, it's a lie. 2 years. If we respect our people, we'll give them ample time to be able to exchange this currency. I was saying yesterday that more than 300 local governments in Nigeria don't have banks. My friend called me to say, Jide, what are you saying? Now, more than 400 out of 774, they don't have banks. Even in the southwest here.
Yes,
even, you know, another thing that also caused it, you know, let me tell you another thing that caused this thing. We had banks before in many places. When the consolidation idea came, even the World Bank said that, by one of his reports in 2021, the World Bank said that more than 628 banks in Nigeria went under, bank branches. I mentioned the example of Safe in Zamfara. Safe is a town in Zamfara. The former governor, the late Shehu Kangiwa, he brought UBA to the town. But because it was not profitable, they shut it. And that's how they've shut so many branches. So today now, today we need branches where people can take our money to. Yes, we need, it's in Abuja. Okay. It's in Abuja. You know. So it's not in the southwest alone. We need where we can actually take our money to. But those banks are not there. Some 100 kilometers you travel to get to the next bank. We have explained. You look at a state like Zamfara, just 4 towns. That's where you find banks. 4 towns. Out of 17 local government, just 4 towns. This is not fiction. Kaura Namoda, Talata Mafara, Gusau, and Shinkafi. The whole of Sokoto North Senatorial District, there is not one bank. If they want to use a bank, they will travel into Zamfara and use the bank in Shinkafi. So it's the pain that this thing inflicts on people that bother some of us. It's not that anything is wrong about demonetization. No. And you want to do it, we have to be gradual.
Calling us from Lekki in Lagos. Thank you for staying with us, Hassan.
You see, this issue of Kwankwaso and Atiku is an impossibility.
They're taking us back
to politics. What really happened in the past, and it will never repeat itself. That shows how desperate Atiku is in occupying the office of the presidency of Nigeria. Secondly, about this money issue, look, you can have a very objective concept, but that objective can be defeated by negative mindset. The negativity in the intention of the proponent of that change of money, that is what we are suffering today. Look, now is even the time when currency counterfeiters will now bring out their money because people are ready to take money even from the devil. Yes. That is what we are seeing. That is the implication of it now. I have to be on the watch out. I said it before. I said, look, you see this FIU, what is their job? Their job is to go after the counterfeiters. People are not doing their job in this country.
right.
Good evening.
Thank you, Hassan.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll reach home stretch.
Fellow Nigerians, all our best hopes for Nigeria are achievable. By every measure, Nigeria can be a better, stronger country. We can be a nation at peace, a place of shared prosperity where everybody is somebody, and equal justice under the law is enjoyed by all our citizens. In a few weeks, our country will go to the polls to elect political leaders and a president to lead our nation for the next 4 years. This is the most consequential election of our time. And we have it in our power to make the choice that allows us to achieve the grand possibilities of what Nigeria can be. Our path to greatness lies in recognizing the abiding truth that in a time of promise and peril such as this, the best thing we can do for Nigeria is to elect a leader with an established track record of achievement who has proven time and again his ability to triumph through adversity and succeed against the odds. In this election, that man is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And let me tell you about Asiwaju. This majestic yet profoundly imperfect democracy we have today is the legacy of men and women who in the years after 1999 used the instruments of law, politics, media, and advocacy to keep this country from becoming a one-party state dominated by the personality cult of one individual. Asiwaju was at the forefront of that effort in every way. At the same time, he was governor of Lagos State, Nigeria's smallest and most populous state, a beacon attracting talent and ambition in droves. As governor, Asiwaju initiated and implemented reforms that have allowed the state to continue to develop and thrive despite its unique challenges. No candidate in this election has a better track record of identifying and elevating talented young people across every walk of life like he can. Our country's political and economic landscape is filled with men and women who have benefited from climbing the ladders of opportunity built by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. His campaign for president today is powered by these same people. Fellow Nigerians, our country can be better, and it will be. For that, we need a president who will deliver a new program of democracy, prosperity, and national security.
My name is Kashim Shetima. I'm an agricultural economist by training, a banker by profession, and now a public servant by calling. I was the governor of Borno State for 8 years. In the heat of the Boko Haram, we set up an agricultural transformation committee. We crisscrossed the world and invested in the whole agricultural value chain. Lagos is the smallest state in Nigeria in terms of landmass, 3,577 square kilometers. But the largest rice mill in Africa and the third largest in the world is located in Imota in Lagos. That is the power of ideas. Bola Tinubu is an idea whose time has come. Let us vote for Bola Tinubu to be the president of Nigeria come 25th of February. God bless Nigeria.
A day to remember in the history of our dear country, Nigeria. 9 wise men from the north who were governors came together on June 8th, 2022 to stand for equity and fairness in the interest of our nation, Nigeria. They buried personal interest for the unity of our country. They supported the call that power must shift to the south in 2023. They chose a Nigeria agenda. We salute our brothers and sisters in the northern part of this country who, in spite of their vote advantage, continue to propagate the unity of Nigeria by promoting rotational presidency between the north and southern part of the country. Let voters in the north follow the move by these leaders. Vote for power shift to the south. It's the turn of the south to produce the president in 2023. Let's vote Bola Tinubu for president for a renewed hope of better Nigeria. Vote Kashim Shettima as vice president. Vote APC. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Welcome back. It's 15 days to the 2023 general election. Babajide, I still have Babajide, Kolade Otitoju, and Tunde Abaton. My friend Dolapo Maradisa just gave me the notes. Yesterday, I looked
generous boy.
Yes, Dolapo gave me.
Because you got to part with
yes, 1,500 and 200. Julie, when you look at the quality of this Naira and the one you showed me yesterday,
terrible.
Compared, by the time we handled this for like a year, I wonder what will be the.
Especially the 1,000 Naira notes.
1,000
1,000
like crayon.
Within, if you just, you can't condone moisture of any type. The one, my favorite amongst them is the 500 Naira notes. But even that one, when you hold it for some time, it looks, even after just 2 days, you won't believe that it's the same currency.
I'm telling you.
That is what
the color will change.
I was watching.
I'm worried.
I was watching the lawyer who has now become a prof. Ozekome.
Okay.
The way he tore the quality of this currency to shreds. At least now it's not.
If you hold the old 1,000 Naira, the old 500 Naira, you will see the difference now. By the time we start handling this for 6 months, let's
bother ourselves so much about the crisis that this thing has caused. I think the Nobi 5 people that they are saying that they may shut down.
Banks.
The General Secretary Mohammed Sheikh said that he's worried about Nigerians who are unable to access their phones and all that over 200,000 POS businesses are gasping. And he's saying, look, if these attacks continue, then we may be forced to withdraw the services of our members nationwide. And you know what that means. If Nubifi should go on nationwide strike.
As Bife, Nubife, any of them.
And today, the federal government asked, the NUC asked all universities to close down.
Yes, so that.
So how would the students who are far away, how would they return?
And some of them actually even registered
to vote
in their school area.
In their school area.
Yes.
So how would they even return home? Most of them cannot.
We have to leave it there. Thank you for your contribution. Jide, we're counting down 15 days to the election.
Yes.
Okay.
Election, I can't wait for it to happen.
It will happen.
Can't wait.
Cool. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday for Journalist Hangout on Sunday between 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Country people for Naija don't talk say they no want mago inside the collation of the election results. To make this one happen, INEC don't bring wetin dem call the INEC Result Viewing Portal, IREV. See wetin this portal fits do. 1. E go make sure say we country people fit see the result from polling units as the election dey finish for election day. 2. E go make sure say fake news go reduce well. 3. Everything go dey well and mago no go dey at all. To enter the portal where you fit check the results, dey simple like ABC. Make I show you how you fit do am. 1. You go enter internet, go visit inecelectionresults.ng.com. 2. You go click on top create new account and na your Gmail account you go use do this one. 3. From there, you go put all your details for the form where them provide, come sign in. 4. You go come provide your state of origin, come press continue. 5. Then go send you email where you go use take activate your account. 6. The next